Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna check here and see who we have today. Okay, for those watching on social media, this is like the first time that I decided to go live with my class here, but I have students joining on Zoom. And so, how is everybody doing this morning? Can you all hear me okay and see me fine? So, you guys can hear me okay? Put it in the chat, or those joining on Zoom, please speak up. Okay. All right. For those who are joining this is going to be a technical session. So it's part of what I do as actually in IT, information technology. So some of you may have known me as a pastor. So this is not like a pastoral or church class. This is more of like a technology class, and it may go beyond what you know, and then feel free if you feel like hey, this is not my thing, you can drop. So even though I still want you to stay with me and the rest of the group here, but it's gonna be just talking about there's an approach that we call a blue and green deployment. So it's gonna be technology here. All right, I'm gonna jump in and let's see those joining on Zoom. Can you all hear me okay and see me fine? Okay, perfect. So we're gonna jump into our stuff, and if you recall, for the last 2 3 weeks we've been talking about blue and green deployment, and so we're gonna continue this morning to just look at that. So we're talking about blue. Hold on here. Give me a moment here. Writing pad here. Okay. So we're gonna continue talking about blue and green deployment. So who among you were able to go through the project as I provided on my GitHub account? Anybody? I'm gonna take you quick here. So we're not looking at this one yet. Will be so if you come here to my repositories here, you're gonna go to this one here. This is the one that we worked on last week, and I think I promised to get back to this and make it work. But did any of you were any of you able to was any of you able to get this done? So I'm gonna walk you again through the process here. So what we do, it's like any application. So you're talking about any app, and this app could be like Netflix. It could be like YouTube and so on. Okay, so you have this is your app, and here this is you as the developer or cloud and DevOps engineer. So this is you. And then here, this is where we have our customer, our clients, and they need access to the application. For them to gain access, you are in charge of deploying first the application, meaning that you make the application accessible, right? So it becomes accessible, and also you have to make sure that it's always available, right? So it's always available, and of course you can add the security and other stuff. But let's say in the case there is a situation, your application breaks. When your application breaks, that's a downtime. And the downtime is something that you have to avoid by all means, no matter what fields you may be in. It could, even a church, if a service, even your church people, they cannot access the things that you offer as a pastor, as a congregation, then that's a downtime. In business, your clients, they can't get what you promised to give them. That's downtime. And that's what you have to avoid. You have to avoid downtimes. And how do you avoid downtimes? It is by using the blue and green deployment. A blue and green deployment, it means that you have one deployment, making sure that this is our infrastructure to deliver the process we use to deliver our services to our customers. But you replicate the same infrastructure, the same process, meaning that if blue, which is the active deployment, if it's down, the only thing you do is just to reroute. You're gonna have to reroute traffic. So this will be, let's say this is green deployment and this is blue. So what you do, blue is down. What you do, you just spin up this one here and make it accessible to your customers. And that's the concept here. There are many ways that you can use to make this happen. Many ways you can use it, depending on what infrastructure you're using to deploy your application or your service to your customers. So it all depends. What we have here and what I've been sharing with you, number one, we have an application that we want to provision using Kubernetes here. And that's the project that I showed you. And that's what we've been working on for the last 2 weeks. Okay, so we're gonna use, we use Kubernetes, and the tool that we're using, it's Minikube. Does anybody remember what Minikube does by any chance? Anyone? And it's okay to guess. You remember Minikube? That's a tool that we use to it helps you spin or set up a cluster, right? But in this cluster, you only have one control node, and then you have one worker node. Okay, so that's the only difference between this one and the one that you would use in production. In production, you use something a little bit bigger, meaning you have more than one node. You have more than one machine, a worker machine. All right. So that's it. So we use this for the last 2 weeks, and then because we're using Kubernetes here, then we just use the manifest, and these manifests are to deploy for the deployment. And we use also this for the service which will allow us to also switch between the two deployments. Also, what we had was we had the blue application, blue app, and then green app. So this is one way to do it, by using Kubernetes. So you can use this to deploy your services or your applications. The other way that you can use this could be just using cloud-based services. And the cloud-based services, I'm gonna talk just a little bit about that today. So you have, so that'll be the second way. So you use cloud-based services. And in this case, what you do, you're gonna use like an S3 bucket for AWS. And then on this one, you can host your static website. Meaning that you're gonna need your index, HTML, and more. And the next thing that you will need is CloudFront. And to this you can add also Route 53. And Route 53, this will allow you to take care of the DNS. And DNS, that's domain name service. So this is another way you can do this. And remember, this is on AWS, so that's what we're using. We're using S3. On Microsoft Azure, you can use Blob Storage, and they have other storage services that you can take advantage of. So you have that, and CloudFront allows your clients to connect to your system, to your application from anywhere around the world. All right. So it allows your clients to connect to your application from China, from Australia, anywhere. And it gives you kind of like a domain, and which you can. Does anybody have a question? Okay. All right. So which, with CloudFront, you kind of like route, you can connect your CloudFront domain to Route 53. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a document about the second approach on Slack. So if you go to Slack, you should be able to see that document. And it's gonna be on notes and recording, and only students who are attending this morning will be able to get to that. So it's gonna be class notes here. All right, I'm gonna just put it. Go to Slack on notes and recording channel, and you should be blue-green deployment. And when you take a look at that, what you're gonna see that we have 4 technologies that, or 4 things that we're using for this approach for blue-green deployment. And those are the ones that I just mentioned. So you have, as I said, in addition to S3 bucket, you're gonna also have, in addition to S3 CloudFront, we will also have Bash scripting. And Bash scripting will allow us to automate the switch between blue and green environment. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. All right. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take you to, again, to what we worked on last week. We follow the steps, and remember what I always tell you, what I always tell anybody in any field, in any profession, always master the concept. When it comes to IT, information technology, things are changing so fast, I tell you. It's like every day there is a new technology. And what I don't want you to do is to memorize the technologies. You can't, because they evolve, they change. But what you need to master are the concepts. Master the concepts, because that's the key. You have to master the concept. Like when we talk about blue-green deployment, what does that mean? What does it mean to you? And how do you implement, how do you design and implement this approach or this concept at work? So let's say they hire you to take care of the blue and green deployment. I mean, how do you approach it? So far, we've been talking about 2 approaches. And these are the major, I would say probably the most used right now. A lot of companies are using, they're using containers. They're using containers. And because they're using containers, but how do you orchestrate containers? Anybody? What technology do you use to orchestrate containers?
Kubernetes.
Yeah, that's the major one. That's the major one. I mean, you can use Docker Swarm and the other stuff, but they're very limited. But this is it. This is the way. All cloud computing platforms, they have their own services to support KATE or Kubernetes. All of them. You're talking about IBM, IBM Cloud, you're talking about Microsoft Azure, Google, AWS, you're talking about Alibaba, and then the list goes on. Oracle, and so on. So they all use this. So this is one way to help you set up a blue and green deployment infrastructure. And that's what I'm gonna walk you through again, because we worked on this. We got stuck last week. I made a video for you. It's already on YouTube, on our on T2S YouTube channel, so you can go there and rewatch it. But I'm gonna walk you through the same steps because you need to master this. A lot of companies are using this, and the reason is it's very scalable, isolated, and portable. Yeah, it's like your computer, but you use it in a very small way. Instead of having too many apps on your computer, you only have one app. And this small and tiny computer, you can kill it and then recreate it like in a few seconds. All right, let me show you what we'll be using. So this is the first step approach. The other approach, it's gonna be cloud-based. And then why? It's because you host your application on a storage or an infrastructure that a cloud computing platform provides. Okay, so you host it there, and that's why I say it's cloud-based. So you use the services that cloud computing platform can give you to take advantage of that. Many years ago, it was done on premises, meaning on physical. So they were using like physical, and then geographical or whatever location. So it's like your own company hosting everything. And then again, the reason why people are moving to the cloud, it's because the cloud offers more flexibility and also it gives you more control. You can get a more scalable infrastructure or service because you're not using just that physical machine that you have in your office. All right, let's go to get here. So we go back to our steps and take you back there. So we go back here, and when you look here, the first thing you need to do is to have Minikube. And remember, I told you Minikube, it's to allow, it's like for personal projects. It helps you create a cluster. And in that cluster, you have the master or the control plane or control node or the server that will control the other machines. And when you talk about that, you're looking at only one node. One node, that's the worker node I'm referring to. And this is unlike what you use in production when you get hired, or maybe you already working as a DevOps or cloud engineer, then in that case you will be dealing with more than just one worker node. A master node or control node will control the other machines. And how does it do that? It's by using manifest. All right. So you're gonna need to install this here first. Let me do something here quick here. I'm gonna minimize that. Give me a moment. I'm gonna adjust this here so that we okay, so I'm gonna do this here. Okay, then I'll open my terminal. And again, did anybody complete this project? Just following the steps.
I wasn't sure. Did you correct the on GitHub?
I updated everything there. So we're gonna just walk through this together. Yes, and I remember this is going to be a big plus on your resume as well. So you just follow along, and let's get it done together. All right. So the first thing is to, and this is what you do at work, right? You're gonna need to get the repo, because the repo, the repository, the remote repository is what has the code. And you see, as you look here, you see this is the repository, and we have different scripts here. Like on the K8, that's a Kubernetes folder, and here this is what we have the deployment files. See here. So we have the blue deployment and we have the green deployment. So if you click on the blue deployment, for instance, and again, every manifest, those are YAML files that you use to provision anything using Kubernetes. All those files, they have key points here, or key components. You have API version, so you define the version of your file. Then you have the kind, and then on the kind here, in our case, this is going to be a deployment. The metadata, that's the information that you want to attach to this file or whatever you want to provision here. And it's going to be a blue deployment. And replica, that's the number of pods. A pod is the basic unit in a cluster, a Kubernetes cluster. And a pod can have one Docker image or container, Docker container, or maybe more than one. And in this case, we only need one. So you can have 2, 3, depending on what you want to accomplish here. And then, so then we have the selector. The selector, those are again the labels that you attach to your application. So the major parts are spec, metadata, kind, and API. So they will always look kind of like the same. So we go back here, and the green deployment, it's the exact replica of the blue deployment YAML file. See here? The only difference, it's just it says green, green, green instead of blue. And that's what I told you. So you have the first, the active infrastructure is the same. Okay. So the active infrastructure is it's a replica. Or no. The non-active is a replica of the active infrastructure. And for the service, a service, it is it's a component of the cluster, or it is a logic that allows you to expose your application either to the cluster only, components in the cluster, or the people or resources outside your cluster. And if you want to do it outside the cluster, you use node port here. So you're going to open a port on the node so that traffic, it allows traffic from outside your cluster, if that makes sense to you all. Any questions? All right, moving on. Okay, so we go back here, and those were the first set of the scripts that you need. And then this is where you have your application script. We're gonna use Docker file. And that's why you need Docker to be installed. And this Docker file is to just get the image, the Nginx image. That's a web application from this place here. And then when you get it, it's gonna copy this index.html file from that came originally with the image, and then you put it here. And then after that, we're gonna take this here. This will, I said it not correct. So this will go here. This is gonna go, it's gonna go here. So we're gonna take everything in here and then we put it here. So this is what comes with the image, and that's the default file, and which always says welcome to Nginx or something like that, or Apache, or whatever image you're using. But we're gonna replace everything in there with this, meaning that the background should be blue, and it's gonna say welcome to the blue environment. That's the blue application. And now the green application, it's exactly the same thing, but I just made the background green here, and it's gonna say welcome to the green environment. Any questions? All right. Okay, if no questions, let's proceed. Here, and then here, this is where we have the bash shell script to run and automate the switch. I'm gonna copy git clone this entire code here. So what I'll do here, I'm gonna do git clone and then the URL, and it's gonna clone, and once it's cloned, I'm gonna move to this here, because remember that's the name of our repository here. So I'm gonna move there and clear my screen. And if you check here by doing ls, so we get everything that we have here. See, we have everything here. Then if I use the tree command, I'm gonna see that in this one here. So I'm gonna just make it bigger. In this one here, I have all that I need here. So all of these are the codes that you need to provision your infrastructure, your blue-green deployment infrastructure. Remember, when, let's say you're working or you get a project to work on that requires you to do this and the company uses containers to deploy or provision the applications or services. If they are not used, and I believe if they're using containers, they may probably using maybe Elastic Container Service on AWS or something like that. So then check with them to see how you can, if they don't use Kubernetes, you can still use ECS to take care of that. But it's gonna be kind of like the same approach here. The only difference will be the codes that you have, like the index to define the application, if it's a web application, and maybe they're using Node.js, a different language, but in this case we're using HTML, so they may be using something different. Okay, so and that will not be your business because you are not the developer. You don't write the codes. This will be from a different team. They'll provide this information here. The only thing that you may have to take care of would be this here, the Docker file, and create the manifest here. The last thing you will have to do is to automate the switch between blue and green by writing a bash shell script. And that's it. That's the only thing you will have to do. All right, so let's go back to here, and then we will go through the steps here. So make sure that you have installed these three things here. And then if you have, the only thing you're gonna need to do is to first you check if Minikube is installed. You can either just use Minikube and then press that, you get something like this. If you get something like this, it means that it's been installed. Or you can just type in Minikube version, and then you see the version there. And you can also do kubectl version. Then you're gonna see that. And the last thing is Docker. And you're gonna see that too. I'll clear my screen. And because you're using a computer, you might have installed the Docker desktop. Then you just, like in my case, I will just do this, and you see my Minikube is already running. So step number one, Minikube start. That's what you need to do first, and the reason is you want to start your cluster. All right, that's the first environment. You want to make sure that it's up and running. Any questions so far? Everybody doing okay?
Yes, sir, we're doing okay.
That's good. All right, so you get this. It shows that your Minikube is working, and then the second step. This is to allow your local machine and your cluster to and Docker environment to kind of like interface or interact. So you're gonna have to make sure that happens, and to do that you just run this command here. I'll just copy it and I'll paste it here, and of course step number 3, we have already done that, and we are now in our environment. And what you do here for step number 4 is to set up the YAML file, the files here that you need for your application. And in this case, the blue and green applications, and we already have these files here, the scripts. So we have our index for the blue, app, the blue application, and then we have the index HTML for the green. So we have the application, the script for the application for the green environment. So you don't do anything for step number 4. And when you get to step number 5, this is where we now are going to build our application, blue and green. And to build, we will use Dockerfile. And that's why you have to write Dockerfile for both environments. Okay. And then how do you do that? You run the command docker build. We want to build our app. First, we'll begin with the blue app. We name it, this is the name we give to this app, or this image. And we do this // because this is the dot. This is where we are, right? So we're going from the dot, we go to the blue here. So that's why I'm typing this blue. And because it is in this directory, child directory, that we find Dockerfile. And I'll just run the command, and this will build our image. I'll clear my screen. I'll do the same thing. I'll just press the upper arrow on your keyboard to recall the second to the last command here. I will change blue to green. So it's gonna be green, and then I'll change the name of the image. It's gonna be green app. Then run the command. So that is done. And everybody following along, right?
Yeah, if you check, I'm already done. I did the green and the blue. I put the pictures in the Zoom chat. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me check that. But that's good. That's very good. Let me see. Chat.
The Zoom chat.
Okay, hold on. Great. So you are ahead of the game. Anybody else? So let me see if I can I share it someplace here? I wanted to show it to the group, but let me see. I'm gonna do that. Give me a moment here. So well done, Pastor Joe. I'm just trying to find a way to do this. Anybody else? Or does anybody have any issues so far? Anybody stuck? Questions? Okay, all right. So moving on. Yeah, Pastor Joey is doing good here. So I wanted to see how I can attach that so that everybody can see it, but there's no way that I can do it on my app. It's a learning curve here. All right. Okay. So moving on. So that's done, and you can verify your images by using the command, and you see mine says 6 days ago because I did it like 6 days ago, and I didn't delete the images. And step number 6, you do not have to create this because remember, we already have our script here. We already have these YAML files. So you don't need to create those. You're gonna have to skip and come down here. This is where you will have to apply your YAML configurations. So you're gonna do that. Yours will say configured. Mine says unchanged because I did it yesterday, I think. Yesterday when I made the video, yeah. But you have to run this through these commands, and like this one, it says configured. And now to access your services, remember, we use this command here. But this is the service if you go to, if you go here, service, you cat this one here. You see, this is the name we gave to the service. This is the manifest which allows you to provision this service. And we allow now us to access the service from your local machine here. So we're gonna do that. And now what we need to do is just to run this command here. And the name of the service, because you may have several services on your system, and so that's why you have to specify the service here, service name. And when you do this, it's gonna take you to the blue. Why? Because this is the active. This is what we set to be the active deployment. Okay, so Pastor Joe, did you use the script to switch? Have you done that yet?
Yes, I use the true mode. I allow the switch to
Okay. Perfect.
and then I redid the access to the service, and then it turned into green.
Yep. That's awesome. That's good. So let's go back here. So now here you have two ways you can switch between the blue and the green. Okay, you have two ways. And how do you do that? You can use this long command here, and I will explain the command to you in a moment. So what this command does, I'm gonna do that. So let's say cat so we're gonna cat the blue greens, the service YAML file. So it's gonna be here. So you know, when we cat this file, what it does, it says the blue is the default. That's the active infrastructure that we always have to have available and accessible for all of our clients, right? So how do you now change? Let's say the blue environment is broken. Something is broken, and we need to fix it. So to do that, this is where you just run a command like this one here. The kubectl patch. It's a command that allows you to modify any infrastructure. It could be a deployment, it could be anything here, but in our case it's the service that we want to patch. And what do we want to do specifically on this service? What we want to do is to change the app from blue to green. That's what we want to do. And I'll go back here. So if you see here, you know, this is, okay, I'll go back. Let me go back to let's just stay here. So look at the command here. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger so that you focus only on the terminal here. So this command, you have the -p. What does the -p do when you add it to a command? You know, you can use -p like when you want to create directories, right? When you do -p, you can say 1, 2, 3. Or you can say dir 1, dir 2, dir 3. What does this do?
Is it the parenting?
Yeah, it's defining. It just say it's kind of like a recursive saying, okay, so you create first dir 1, and then when you go to dir 1 and create a child directory of dir 1 to be dir 2, and then in dir 2 you create dir 3 as a child directory of dir 2. Does that make sense? So that's what we're doing here. That's why we have the P here. Saying, okay, so go into this service here. And when you get there, look for spec. There's a spec. And then under spec, like a child of spec, find selector. This is selector. And then when you get to selector, look for app. This is app. So now when you get there, change blue to green. That's what's happening here. And that's what this command does. Any questions? So clear to everybody?
So my question is this command only applicable from blue to green, or because blue is the default, or can we also use it to go from green to blue?
Yeah, it's back and forth.
Okay.
So you use this command here. We're gonna run it. Let me copy this command, put it here, and run it. Oh, I think I missed something here. Okay, I'm gonna need to copy everything correctly here. Okay, and I run it, and you see what it says here, patched, right? It's patched. And then I need to run the service command here, minikube command. And when I do that, this will change here. This will change to green. And you're gonna see it here. So we have the green here. So I'm gonna do it again. Back to blue. And how do I change it to blue? I just change the thing here. Just change it to blue. And that's it. Press enter. Then I run the minikube service and watch this here. It's gonna change to blue. So this is how you automate switching from blue deployment to green deployment. And then in this case, you know, so you have your customers, they are connected to the application using blue environment. This is your back end. So they don't know what's behind the scenes. They are connected to your application, and then something breaks with no downtime. You receive a phone call. You just run the command saying, hey, what? Blue? Okay, Tom, what you do, you just, you have your own command here. You're going to change it to green here. So we're going to change it to green. So as fast as possible, and then it's gonna go back to green. So there's no downtime. Your customers will still be connected to your application. They will not even know that there was something wrong. Your customer will always be happy. So that's one way you can do it. You can run that command, or you can use the switch traffic script here. And the first thing that you're gonna do if you wanna do that, first, after you git clone the repository, you're gonna make it executable. And then the only thing you do is just to run it using dash dot forward slash and then the script. We are on green. We want to take it back to blue. I just do that. It's gonna say patched. See here? So traffic has switched back to blue. And then I run again the command to spin up the service, to tell the service that, hey, you're gonna have to switch, and it's gonna change it to blue. So instead of using that long command, I'm just gonna use the short here, my script here, and that's it. And I can remember this easily. I can just type it without, because I know it. It just switch traffic. Any questions?
Yeah, that's what I used. I used the switch traffic
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
All right, so you are a genius, and so are the rest of the team today. You are all geniuses. So anybody else working on this? So now, after you're done, you're gonna need to clean up. So you're gonna always clean up your things. So after playing, you have to clean up. So you're gonna have to delete your deployment. So you're gonna start with this one here. Deleted. And then you're gonna go to the next one. Deleted. You're gonna go this one here. And then finally you stop your cluster. You're gonna stop it. I'm gonna take a little bit of time. All right. So well done. You get to this point, you've done so well. I'm gonna do cd space dot to go up one level, and then when I'm there, I want to delete also that repository. So it's gonna be blue, then press, and then I do Y here, Y, and it's deleted. So that's one thing that you have done, and which gives you, just doing this, it gives you a lot of experience, professional experience. You will not be hired, if you're not yet hired, as a cloud and DevOps engineer and be asked to do something like this. And sometimes they may, but usually it's about you need to be you need to have at least 3 or 4 years of experience for your manager to say, hey, take care of this. If you master this concept, it shows that you have 2, 3 years of experience. This is mid-level or senior level responsibility. Let me take you back here. I'm gonna walk you through the process of, I'm still playing with this deployment, the other deployment on AWS. So what we go through today, for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll be done, is to just, I would like to show you how you can do this on AWS as well. And I want you to play with this too, okay? So you go to the README here. You're gonna have to git clone this, and remember, you can also fork this one here. So like you go to my URL here, and on your account, you should be able to fork, meaning that you take a copy of this repository and then put it on your GitHub account. So you're gonna do that. And then for people who have not trained through me, through T2S, this is my website, and right now I'm working on this one, and this is going to be a very good tool to have for all of you, a set of tools. I'm almost done with this course here, and it's gonna come out, and you master these concepts, you're really set for success as a DevOps and cloud engineer. So it's gonna come out, and for those of you who have not done anything yet as far as Linux or introduction to cloud, there's already something here. Please use this. Enroll. It's a self-paced course, so please do that. It's gonna really help you stand out. We use a lot of Linux as DevOps and cloud engineers. So take a look at this and study. And you find a lot. Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna change this quick here. Switch account. That was my personal YouTube channel. So you're gonna do this here. Why is it not changing? Okay, hold on. So if you go to this channel here, this is the link, and you're gonna find a lot of videos here. You just refresh your memories and look at this, watch and learn. Just keep learning. It takes about just 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, and that should be okay. I'm gonna close that. So let's go back here. And also I put something on Slack here. If you go to Slack, you're gonna find this document and read this here. But quickly, I'm gonna show you how you can do this. And we have about 20 minutes. Any questions so far? Or are you ready to go? Or to continue on with this?
Did you put that URL, the GitHub URL on Slack?
For the second one here?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Is it on Slack?
No, not yet. I'm gonna do it now. Just put
Okay.
Go to the notes and recordings. It's gonna be there.
Yeah, that's
So
okay.
this is the
I just
second, and then I'm still trying to see how I can make it a little bit easy for you guys. But let me show you what you can do to spin up those two environments, and then we will work on CloudFront the next week or whenever we get together. So the point, you need to understand what we have to do here. So what you have to do here, I'm gonna always does that. What you have to do here, you're gonna first create buckets, S3 buckets, right? So we create an S3 bucket, and then we add an index HTML. Because remember, this is we want to make these are our static website. That would be number one, right? So we'll have for green and blue, just like what we did on the previous project. And then number two, what we need to do is to create a CloudFront distribution. So we're gonna create that. And then number three, this is where we set the switch. The switch between blue and green. And number four, you can automate, like what we did with the bash shell script. So this is the concept. So in an interview, this is what you say. This is what you say. A company wants you to help with this. This is what you say. And the difference between this and the first project we just worked on is gonna be number one. Your application. How do you provision your application? That's the only difference. And a CloudFront distribution you may use it, or you may incorporate that into the first project if you host your infrastructure on AWS. You can also add, like number 5 here, Route 53. Route 53, it's what allows you to customize your domain names. Okay, which we call DNS. So it's gonna help you customize that. So the only difference is how you build your application and how you provision it. And that's it. But the rest of the steps, they should be standard. And then this is what I want you guys to memorize. This is what you need to memorize. Every day you write it down. So that when somebody calls you and asks you to do this, you know what to do. You don't have to read anything, but rather to say, hey, these are the steps that I'll be doing, and these are the things that I need. I need access to the script of your your application, and then we'll take it from there. Any questions? All right. Okay. So quickly, I'm gonna just go to the here, and then you find, if you go to the README, you're gonna see we have steps here. I wrote steps. So step number 1 and step number 2, that's what I want you to do. Also step number 3. Step number 4, I will explain on the console, and then we'll do step number 5 later, as well as step number 6. This script here will require some changes. It's a long script, and I don't want you to memorize it. You just have to understand the concept behind it. Okay? Just need to understand the concept. So let's start here. So you first of all, I want you to git clone your application. You need to git clone this here. So git clone, it's already on Slack, and that's what I'm gonna do here. So I'm gonna git clone and show you how to go about it. Okay, so let's go to the terminal here. I'll just git clone and then URL, and then I'll move to AWS Blue here. Okay, that's done. And I can ls, so I have everything here. So I have this one here. You see here, this is the blue application, and this is the green application. That's what we need. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about this. Even that. Because I'm going to probably change those. So once you do that, the first thing you're going to need to do is to create the buckets. You can create the buckets by just going here, doing it manually, all right? And instead of doing it manually, I'll just do it using the command line, okay? And you should have the command lines on GitHub here. So you see here, this is to create buckets. So just copy that. So I'll just use those commands, copy. This is going to create, it's gonna make a bucket, MB, make a bucket. This is the command, AWS S3 to make a bucket. And then we'll give it this name here, and where, and this is my region here. Press enter, it's gonna say make bucket. See, that's MB, that's here. Then I'm gonna do the same for green. I'll just replace blue with green. Press enter, it's gonna make this bucket. And if you go back to to your console, go back to your console here. If you refresh this, we're gonna see 2 buckets here. See, blue and green. So just created our bucket. And now, if you click here and go to permissions, you see here it's blocked. But this is a web application, right? And the web application, we want people to have access to our web application. It's an application that you can access over the website, right? So we want everybody, our customers at least, to access this. And of course, you don't want anybody to access your application. If it's a subscription-based application, you need to standardize how people should gain access and stuff like that. And that's not part of this session here today. So what we need to do we need to unblock this to change this to off. You can do it here by just clicking edit, or you can use a command. And here is the command. You see here, this is the command here. So this is gonna change that. So if I just copy the command here for remember this is for the blue. I just copy the command and go back to the command line, press enter, and you see I've done that. Let's go back to the console to verify. So we go back to the console here, verify, and you're gonna see this is going to be turned off. See? So it's now off, meaning that we can access it. And I'll do the same for the green here. The only difference is just the name of the bucket. That's it. That's the difference on the command here. We'll just copy and go back here. Do the same here for blue. And then the other thing that I want to do is to, because you're gonna need to change the settings here. If you go to permissions here, you're gonna attach a policy, and this policy will allow, will control access to everything that we put in the bucket. And then back here, we have a policy here. So you have this policy here. That's the S3 bucket policy JSON. So meaning that we allow everything here, anybody to do this, to get object, meaning that they can read the object that we store on an S3 bucket. S3 bucket, it's an object storage, oriented storage. It's not a block storage. So everything you put in there, S3 looks at that as an object. Okay, so you can just copy this here, or you can also attach this here using a command. But we'll just copy here and go to here. We're gonna edit and then paste it here. You make sure that the name here is the exact name of your bucket. You see, I'm looking at T2S Services Blue, and that's what we need. And come down here, click on Save Changes. Okay, hold on. So you're gonna come down here and click on Save Changes here. See it? Save. Click here. So successfully edited, edited bucket policy. So you can do the same here. You can copy this policy and go back to the green, go to permissions and edit bucket policy here. Remember, you're gonna have to come in here and change it to green, because that's the name of your bucket, right? That's the name of your bucket here. Green. T2S Services Green. Make sure it matches what you have here. Then you're gonna go to Save Changes again, and that's set. So now what you need to do is to add, you're gonna add the HTML here. So this is the code to define your blue app and green app. If you go back here, ULS, let's do 3 here. So we already have this here. So what I need to do is just to use a command to copy index HTML from my system to my S3 bucket. And that's easy to do. Again, I'll just use the command that I've provided on the README file. So I'm gonna start with this one here. And again, it's the AWS S3 copy. So this is where my index HTML file is located. And this is the name of the bucket. That's the address of the bucket. And then I'm gonna put it in here. So let's enter that. So we have uploaded this to here. And we're gonna do the same for the green, for our green application. Just paste it there, and that's done. Then I go to, I didn't show you this. So this is what I did, the commands. So I use the commands. You find them on your GitHub repository. So I go back here. And so we've done this, and what we need to do is just to verify. So let's start with buckets, the blue. You see this one is here. Then I'll copy the URL, I'll paste it here, and it gives me this. All right, so I go back here, and then I go to the other bucket, the green. I'll copy the URL here and paste it here. So our two applications are working. Okay, they're working, the blue and the green. They're working, and so now after you do that, what you need to do is to go back to your console and look for CloudFront, press enter. So here I have already something that I was playing with. So you're gonna have to create now a distribution. You know, the same way it sounds, to distribute. Meaning, CloudFront will help you, will allow your clients, your customers to access your application. But the one to control that, it's you. Okay? And CloudFront will allow anybody from anywhere around the world to do that. So I'm gonna just walk you quickly here. So click on Create Distribution. And first, you're gonna start with the origin, because this is kind of like your final destination for your customers, right? And that's your origin in your case. So you're starting there. And if we click here, it could be an elastic load balancer, it could be an API, gateway, or anything here. Or it could be a movie or anything. It could be a VPC, a virtual private cloud. But in our case, we only have these two here. We just created this bucket. So our blue here, we're gonna choose blue first here. That's our origin, all right? And then when you come here, we want to, you can control the origin access. Either you can make it public. Let's say this is Google. You want anybody to access Google, right? So that's why it's public here. Or you can do this here. If you do this, it's gonna be a little bit more complex, and which is also recommended for security. But we're gonna leave it public for now, okay? We'll leave it public for now. And when you do that, just select public for now, just for testing. You come down here, everything should pretty much stay the same as default. You don't change anything yet. And here you select, for now we're gonna select this one here, do not enable. let's go back here. We need to select the endpoint. So origin, enable, and we'll continue from here next week. And what I want you to do is this between now and when we meet next time, you can look at these things here. Just try to make sense and read a little bit about some of these things here. So functional, everything should look okay here. And you see here, when they call an edge location, it is the closest data center or place that can allow your customer, wherever they may be around the globe, to access without latency. So like you're watching Netflix movies in Japan, and I'm watching it from here in the US, we should have the same experience. Like if I click, the video should be playing right away. And the same should apply with somebody living in South Africa. So that's kind of like what the edge location do here. Or if your customers are only in North America and Europe, then you're gonna have to select that. So, but if they are in North America, Europe, Asia, Middle East, and Africa, you can also do that. So we leave it as default here. You can attach an SSL certificate. This is to make your website begins with HTTPS instead of HTTP. But for now, we just keep it at HTTP, just for testing. Okay, so let's create this, and then we'll pick it up from here next week. And then what you notice here, it's gonna take some time to deploy. And once it does, it says it's deployed. You don't see this anymore here. You go here, you click this one here, copy, and you put it on the browser. When you put it on the browser, go and remove the S after HTTP. Because you remember we're using port 80. So when you do this, when it's done, it should look like this one here. And why? Because you remember, we use the origin, the blue here. See? This is what we used. For switching between the two, then we're gonna add the second origin here. And that will be the green. So you can play with this, but after playing with that, make sure you come here, and you're gonna have to delete your, you see it's still deploying, but I'm gonna delete it for now. Then we'll continue working on this next week. First you disable it, because if you don't, it's gonna pull data from the origin, and you may incur some cost. You don't want to do that. So I'm gonna clean everything here, and to clean, you first empty. For the bucket, you're gonna have to empty it first. So I empty my bucket, and then after you empty your bucket, that's when you can delete it. You cannot delete a full bucket. First you empty it, and then after emptying your bucket, then you can delete it. And that's what I'm showing you how to do. Gonna do that. Then we go to the green here, then I can delete it. Gonna copy the name here, correctly and then delete the bucket. So I have no bucket here, and here I still have, let me see, that's why. So make sure you delete it, so it's still it's disabled but still deploying. So when it's done, give it some time, then you should be able to delete it. And make sure that you delete every piece of infrastructure that you provision. Okay, so this is the end of our session today. Thanks for joining. Any questions before we get done?
Yeah,
Questions? Yes.
Doctor, can I give you a call after this, please?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I'll have like just a few minutes. Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
My question is the way to change from blue to green. Is there any way to make it like an automatic, or you just need to change it by through the system?
Well, I showed you that you can, what you can do is you can either use the command that I gave you, and it's part of the instructions, or you can use the bash shell script. If you go, and you can you can also rewatch this video here. I'll just put it in the project here. Let me see. If you go to Slack under project, there's a video. I think there's another one that I put yesterday. Yeah, go watch the one that I put yesterday. That's exactly what we did, well, you know, as part of the first section of the class. Okay, so did that answer your question? And you can reach out to me also during the week. We can go through the same steps here.
Yeah, that sounds good, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? If not, you all have a good weekend. God bless, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
And also happy. What did I do here?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. So I don't know what I
Thank you.
have my Eiffel towel there. All right.
Thank
You
you.
guys take care. God bless.